Welcome back to Tailored by Nature, where I discuss topics pertaining to nature, our true nurturer. Today, I want to just get into a subject that I have came in here and have described, but I think the way I described it is causing confusion based on how it's been described. And the reason why it's causing confusion is based on the words that are typically used by Christians to describe things. And so I'm going to use a different way of describing things. And it's simply pertaining to, I guess, just the understanding of what took place in the so-called Garden of Eden. And I think if I explain it this way, it probably make better sense than versus how I've typically explained it. So let's start off on just getting a better understanding of first creating a foundation. So the language, the language that the Bible was originally written in, it's Aramaic, right? And kind of the same thing as Hebrew. Hebrew, Aramaic, they kind of go hand in hand. And when you look in the concordance, they're both beside each other as the same translation. So, stating that, the language, it creates, I kept saying this, but then I guess a lot of people miss the whole meaning of it. The language creates images of itself by mirroring functions in nature. So when they say a name, is describing an action, maybe describing the location. So all those factors into names. So if someone have a name, it's describing an action and also describing a location as well, like a geographic location. That's the complexity of the Aramaic language. So people today I was asked, what's the name of their location? I'm just going to use that as a base. And I said Adon. It's pronounced Eden or Adon. And the owners of the garden bears that name. So that was their name. Ada, which is, when we see the word Adon, it's actually two names in one. In English, it does sound like it's one word, but it's actually two words. So in the word Adon is the word Ada and the word Ana. And some tribe may say Ama. So it's Ada wa Ana or Ada wa Ama. It just means male and female. Okay? So that's what, in today's English language, we say daddy, dada, and we say mama and mama. So the M is still in the English language still retain the D sound and the M sound. So that's where the word mother and daddy come from. It come from Ada and it come from Ama. Like I said, they use the Aramaic language or Hebrew language to build the language we have today called American English. That's what they use to. It's built from that language. They use it to correct or fill in their language. So when you see a lot of consonants, it's reflecting meaning from the Aramaic language. So they use the Aramaic language to improve their language. So you could think of it in that fashion. Okay, so like I said, so we talk about, so that's the location where they were. So that their name isn't the location, or the owners of the garden. That was their name. So the garden bear their name. So I'm gonna get into the point of this. So when I used to explain about Eve or Amma, in English they say Eve, but her name is Amma. When they say that she had sex with an angel, a lot of people get turned off by it. It was like, angels don't, they can have angels don't have sex and all this stuff, right? But the word angel, it's a misinterpretation. Within the word angel is the word El. Within all the angels in the Bible, there's El in their name. El mean away. That means they're not from here, they're from somewhere else. If you notice Superman, which kind of takes up from the Aramaic, his father was named El. Yeah, and he sent his son away to Earth. So you kind of get an understanding of what the word El mean. It means to send away. That's what the word El mean away. So they came from their abode to here, right? So I'm going to use it in another way. So in the Bible, they said the serpent, or so within the word serpent, we see the S and we see the P, right? And within the word seraph, we see the S and we see the P. So those are two consonants that's in the both words. So when you see the word serpent, we have to look at it in an Aramaic sense and what the letters stand for. So the letters within the word, the SP, Sa, is pronounced san or san in Aramaic, and it means to be pale and white like the moon. And then we see the word, this letter P, which is Pa in Aramaic. And Pa is talking about an opening, a mouth. And on our bodies, things that function as a mouth are function the same as the mouth is considered a mouth. So when you look at it and break it down, what other parts of the body function as a mouth? Means to take in something and expels it, right? We have a mind. Our mind does the same thing. Our mouth does the same thing. Our nose does the same thing. And for the female, the mouth below her waistline, her pudenda, pudenda. So that take in and eat. So when they said they were eating, think about they eating in a biological sense. So they were eaten by listening to what the angel said with their mind and also with their action, which is why they cover their loins when they actually got caught in a situation. They cover their loins. So they were eaten with. So they eat with their mind, and by listening, and then the action after they listen is fornication. That was the action. And that's why they cover their loins afterwards. So when you look at the word, so when I break that down, as far as the word serpent or the word seraph, remember the language is a biological language. What else could they be talking about when they say serpent, right? And remember Genesis 3 verse 3 explained that there were other trees in the garden, and they're talking about this tree specific in the middle. So pretty much what the Bible is telling us, it was Adam have a seed, right? And there was other seeds in the garden. Pretty much she was warned, or they were warned, not to touch or eat of any other tree. When we see the word tree, within the word, if you turn the word tree backwards, it's ear. In the Aramaic, it's written as IYR, still pronounced ear. So the word tree represents a watcher angel. And if you look at when you look at a serpent had and a seed have the same characteristic. I'm going to tell you that things that look the same and act the same, function the same, is considered the same. So you see a serpent, and if you look in a microscope and see the seed of a man or sperm, they have the same thing. They have a head, they have the body, and a tail. So she was told not to eat of a particular tree. Remember, trees represents humans, they represent angel, and they represent tree. Why? Because all three of them have offsprings. Like I said, things that function the same are considered the same. So we have to move our mind and think biologically. And that's the only way the Bible is going to make sense to us. Only way. If you look at the Bible in an ideological way or mythological or whatever, it's not going to make any sense. The only way for the Bible to make sense is to look at it in a biological way, because that's what the language they use mirrors functions in nature. And the only way to make sense of it is to look at it in a biological way. And by then you'll understand what's really taking place and remove your emotions and feelings out of it. Because nature doesn't care how you feel. Nature does what nature does. That's pretty much how things work. So when you see the word serpent, or the word, which is another way to say the word seraph, it's talking about, and which is why they were told not to eat, because to eat mean fornication. To eat mean physical eating. It also mean to listen to someone, which is taking information in. It also mean fornication. So it's not just one definition, it's multiple definitions. And these are biological function definitions. So we have to consider, like I said, consider the totality of definitions, not just one thing. And that's the one thing with the English language. It kind of narrow things down to one meaning. Nothing in life has one meaning. Everything has multiple meaning, because we live in a duality world by itself. So everything is a duality. And so when you think of so there were other people here. When people say angels, they get caught up in this Christianity thing about angels having wings and this and all this stuff. It just means people from somewhere else. So there were people here from somewhere else. The reason why I describe them as Sa, our son, is because of their other parents. They were the opposite of Adam and Eve, or in Aramaic, Ada wa Ama. They're the opposite. That means they look different. They look different, they think different, and because they look and think different, they have different characteristics about them. And so there was the opposite. Adam was made of earth, melanated. It's earth. So he has a brown outer covering. The seraph, he was from somewhere else. They're from somewhere else. They were pale and white like the moon. That's how their characteristic. So that was their characteristic. So I was trying to explain the other day, when Cain and Abel was born, they had the characteristic of their parent. So when a parent have a child, the child carries characteristic of the parents. So look at stuff in a biological sense, and then everything in the Bible will make sense. Everything will make sense. But like I said, people look at the Bible and think about theology and all these ideologies, and they miss the mark as far as what they need to comprehend. And that's why it causes confusion. Because if everyone understands the Bible is biological, guess what? Everyone comes to the same conclusion. Because biology have not changed. But guess what have changed? Ideology change all the time. So that's the confusion. So people are getting taught millions of different stories when there's only one story. And the one story is we're still here. Our form and function is still here. We still function the same way. Nothing changed. So that's pretty much the understanding when we think of the word serpent in the Bible. Think of a, like I said, seed. It's talking about Genesis 2 verse 15, talk about the seed. I'll put the enmity between the two seeds. So he's talking about the seed of a man. So the seed of an angel and the seed of Adam. That's simple biology. That's what he's talking about. So there's going to be enmity between the angel offspring and human offspring. Why? Because they're the opposite of each other. Yeah, they have different characteristics. They have different purpose. The Most High created Adam and Eve for one purpose, and he created the other people that's opposite of us. He created them for another mission. So they're opposite. By design, they're opposite. And that's like I said, And that's why they were told. So even though they were opposite of each other, they were Adam's elder brother, because a war broke out in heaven, and some of them came here, and so they were here. They was here watching us, calling watchers. They was here watching us, but like I said, one of them initially crossed the line, and which is how sin came into the world, which is the mixing of unique species. So Adam was one unique species, and they were another unique species, and so that's when the destruction came into the earth, because when species mix together, they create a different kind. That's what happened. So a different kind was created, and those different kind carry different characteristics, and that's why I said the two will not get along. Why they won't get along? Because they have different characteristics. That's it. Biology, different characteristic. A lion and a cheetah or a tiger, they're different. They have different characteristics. So think of it on a biological scale, for having different characteristics. That's simply, it's very simple. It's just like people, like I said, the word Babylon, the word Babylon means to cause confusion by mixing. And think why the tower was tore down. Yeah, because of that. It caused confusion by mixing. And so that's what they're doing. They mix things up, and people get emotional about things and not thinking biologically, because ideology changes every, I guess you could say every year, every day, or whatever. People change their mind about different things and have different belief system. But our biology haven't changed. So if your biology haven't changed, that should be the core foundation of understanding that everyone uses to comprehend the world we're in. Because the world is biological. It's not ideological. It's not emotional. It's not based on theory. It's based on biology. So that's the understanding. So like I said, if you move the word angel away and just say, hey, there was people here that was Adam's elder brother, and one of them initially coveted Adam's wife. And said, thou shalt not covet. That's what he did. He coveted Adam's wife, and he went in on her and impregnated her, and he put his offspring here. And that's what's causing the havoc on earth because of what they did. And remember that the angel, those people, their punishment was what? They should eat the dust of the earth, right? What is man made from? Earth. You heard about vampires or the Vaughn Empire? Yeah, they eat people, they drink their blood. It's all about biology. That was the curse, and that's what they do, and that's what they still do. They still drink people's blood. They still, all this, people watch all these movies. Even the movie Sinner just came out. Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. All these movies has been telling us all these things, and people just ignore the information. They think it's like fantasy or something. Stuff is real. This is what it is. So I hope this of some understanding where you guys could, get a understanding that they give words different definition, and people get stuck in those definitions and not realizing that this is basic biology. Like I said, our Creator deals with chemistry and physiology, our form and function. And like I said, they were close enough to us to mate with us. I think they're the only ones that was close enough to mate with us, because the other ones, I guess, universal families that we have, they cannot mate with us because they are very different from us. But the so-called watcher angels, the one that was here, and they're still here, they people call them Nordic people, but like I said, they resemble white man. They're close enough to mate with us. And when the children are born, they're pale and white like the moon. So that's pretty much what I want to share with you guys. I hope you guys find this of interest. Thanks for listening.